Good evening. My name is Eugene Peterson, and I'm chair of the Anne Arundel County Human Relations Commission. The commission is chartered, part of the Anne Arundel County charter, and it is not a commission that is made in force and put into place by the county executive. That was changed in by election in 2020. So we're a formal commission, no matter who the county executive will be. We were given responsibility for addressing alleged housing discrimination complaints. That was along with our other larger duties in terms of fighting against discrimination and making Anne Arundel County, as the county executive and the county council call it, the best place for all. We were given specific statutory responsibility to address alleged complaints of housing discrimination. If you go to our site on the county website, we have a page, and there are complaint forms that can be filled out, and there's a language translator for those that speak English as a second language or don't speak English at all. In the last year, we were given additional responsibilities to address alleged complaints of discrimination in public facilities. That could be restaurants, it could be public spaces that are used for certain kinds of activities. Anywhere there's a public space where people feel that gaining access or being part of that space, they were being discriminated against or discriminated against while they were in that public space. We are charged with addressing those alleged complaints. And the final responsibility we were given was to address alleged complaints of employment discrimination. And that includes employment discrimination throughout the county, with the exception of alleged complaints from county employees, which will be dealt with by the County Office of Law and the Procedures and practices they have had in place. So happy to be available, and the commission is happy to be available to answer any questions that you might have, and again, we can be found on the web page on the county's website, and any questions that you have can be forwarded to me or the commission. Having said that, I'll begin with a roll call, and Commissioner Gaskin, you can say present or here.
Present.
Commissioner Newman.
Present. Present.
Commissioner Haida.
Present.
Commissioner Apter.
Present.
Commissioner Sorrow.
Present.
Commissioner Hatcher. Commissioner Farris. Commissioner Scott.
Present.
Okay, great. And I am here, Commissioner Peterson, present. Okay.
Commissioner Michaels, present.
Oh, Commissioner Michaels. Good to have you, Commissioner Michaels.
Good to be here.
I'd like to move on from the roll call, and Commissioner Farris, our secretary, informed me that the minutes will not be available of the minutes of the December 19th meeting will not be available for approval at this meeting. So we will take those minutes up along with any minutes from this meeting in the February meeting. So I thought I'd point that out. And would like to move on to the next agenda item, fair housing testing legislation. And I'm going to ask on this, since we're talking about civil rights legislation, to have our colleague Justin Paleska also chime in. But I'll start with fair housing testing. All of you should have received the testimony that I drafted for the commission to address the bill in the Senate Judicial Proceedings Committee, that it is a remake of Senator Sidnor's last year electronic surveillance fair housing legislation. It's now called fair housing testing legislation, which I think is a more accurate depiction of what it is. And I also sent you all it's Senate Bill 107, and thank you, Justin, for putting it in the chat. And it also specifically makes the point that electronic communication is not what we're talking about. It speaks directly to oral communication, which probably could be in most instances is phone conversation. The points that I made in the testimony followed closely to points that I made not in testimony, but in letters that I sent to our delegation, the Anne Arundel delegation, and also I believe the chairs of the Judicial Proceedings Senate Committee and the House Judiciary Committee, and also to a number of human relations committees or commissions around the state. And I think the point that I address that really moves towards why we would want this kind of legislation is a concept called steering. And what steering is not de jure or legal discrimination, but de facto or in fact discrimination, which happens when a realtor, an agent, says certain things about one community versus another, talks about certain kinds of maybe criminal activities that happen in one community versus another, and talks about schooling in general in one community versus another. And this can and I believe would have the effect of uh, denying somebody a fundamental right that you have to decide where you want to live. And it also, in my opinion, furthers de facto in real terms, not legal terms, but in real terms, de facto housing segregation and segregation itself. So I think that's a point that I'm hoping will have some resonance with the senators who will consider um, uh, Senator Sidnor's bill, and I hope it has a large and commanding favorable vote out of committee and then goes over to I guess the Senate floor and then to the House. I have not seen in the House Judiciary Committee. I've seen a draft of legislation, but I don't think the House has formally introduced a bill yet. But I guess I'd at this point turn to Justin and ask him if there is any recent knowledge of a House bill.
All righty. Well, thank you so much, Commissioner Peterson. I appreciate your time, everyone. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Justin Paleska, and I am the Senior Service Fellow for the Office of Equity and Human Rights under the Governor's Service Year Program. For this year's legislative session, I have been tasked with being the department's liaison between us and the Maryland General Assembly and working with tracking legislation for both the Office of Equity and Human Rights and the Human Relations Commission. As far as Senate Bill 107 goes, from what I've gathered in the hearing, as you guys may have known, yesterday was the first Senate bill hearing on House Bill 107. It was introduced in the Judiciary Committee by Senator Sidnor. And the commentary and questions that were asked during the committee hearing were very fruitful. There were expert witnesses and definitely a lot of candor back and forth between the senator and senators, expert witnesses. And then there were testimonies that were submitted, including our own. And as far as right now goes, nothing has been under my radar. Nothing has been officially cross-filed, but I did see Commissioner Sorrow posted in the chat that there is a House bill coming up that's introduced, and I believe one of the co-sponsors is Delegate Sandy Bartlett for the Anne Arundel County caucus. So looking favorably upon that as of right now. It's still in the first reading, and it's expected Monday, the Senate Judiciary Committee's next meeting. I know it's not on the agenda for tomorrow's hearing, but speaking with office staff that maybe possibly next week it will make it to second hearing and then go from there into the House. And that is really the story on Senate Bill 107. If there's any further questions or any of the commissioners would like to sit down one-on-one for any legislative questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. As far as general legislation goes and civil rights legislation goes for Anne Arundel County, I said before, myself and Asha Smith are doing the legislative work for 2025, but I will be your main point of contact. And right now we are staging different pieces of legislation in both the House and the Senate for your review. I'll be sending bi-weekly updates to this commission as far as bills that are being tracked. And when we get closer to March and April, more status updates, favorable amendments, all that good stuff going forward. So if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll put my contact information in the chat. And thank you so much.
Okay, Justin, before you move on, one of the things I want to ask you was, are there other civil rights? Is there other civil rights legislation that's pending that we should be aware of, or will you send that in your report?
I don't, there is at this moment in juncture, we're still in the review process. But there's definitely stuff that was pre-filed and stuff that was introduced, as many of you guys most likely know. Over 600 bills in both the House and the Senate have been introduced this year thus far. So it is a both myself and Asha will be reviewing what's going to be going um in favor, or I'm sorry, in the direction of the commission, whether if it's worth the review. And then we also get stuff sent to us constantly daily by our the county executives government relations team for us to review ourselves. But that will be definitely submitted in my bi-weekly report. And if at any time you guys have any questions, or if I feel Asha and I feel that there's a bill that needs immediate attention, it will definitely be in your inbox day of.
Okay, and finally, did the county executive introduce any written testimony on Senator Sidnor's bill?
Asha, did we get any? I haven't gotten anything from.
I think
Commissioner.
I think actually we did. I think the county executive did. I know that a member of his team spoke to me about it and said that they intended to do so. So we can double check to make sure. I know that the intention was there, and they were kind of pushing up against that deadline. So
Right.
they were trying to hurry and get something done. So
It
we'll
would be helpful
confirm that.
if that was done, if we could get it distributed to all the commissioners so they're aware too. And of
Sure.
course, Justin would do that. So
Yes.
Absolutely. And Justin, I don't know if maybe you want to, I know that we haven't finalized what's on your report, but it may be nice to give the commissioners just an idea of some of the things that, some of the bills that you've already looked at. Do you want to give them just a couple?
Yeah, of
Sure.
course.
Sure.
Yes, they just pull up my list right here.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Um, So just some things in our that we've been reviewing. I'll start with the Senate first. Senate Bill 314 has to do with the birth certificates and sex identification designation at birth. It's called the Birth Certificate Modernization Act, and that was introduced by Senator Lamb. It's in the first reading, and that is in the Judicial Committee as well. Senate Bill 13, the Commission to Study African American Civil War Sailors in Maryland. That's a Office of Equity and Human Rights piece of legislation that we're going to be looking towards. And as far as fair housing goes, there's another Senate Bill 154, which is access to counsel in evictions. And that there's a task force regarding that. And it's task force termination and a special fund, and that was introduced by Senator Hedelman. I do apologize. There is a hearing on that on the 15th as well, and more updates to come on that. And then we have as far as House bills, we just have some general declaration of rights, right to organize, and that's more of a labor induced bill. And then we have labor employment, mandatory meetings on religious or political matters, attendance and participation, and that's called the Maryland Worker Freedom Act. That was introduced by Delegate Vogel, and the House hearing for that is on January 30th in the Economic Matters Committee. And then there's a general housing discrimination, consumer credit history bill that was introduced by Delegate Addison, and the hearing on that was canceled but expected to be rescheduled. So those are some of the bills that are in review and pending and working on for myself to get general synopsis on.
Great job, Justin. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
yes, indeed. I'd like to move to the next update, which is the Human Relations Commission's strategic planning work group Commissioner Michaels.
Good evening, commissioners. We got together last week online. Commissioner Gaskin, Commissioner Hajeved, Commissioner Sorrow, Commissioner Dadone, Commissioner Peterson. I believe Commissioner Apter joined us later on. If I missed somebody, I apologize. We discussed the strategic plan. Commissioner Sorrow sent us the, put into the G Drive, the Human Rights Commission 5-year plan. Commissioner Gaskin submitted some other strategic plans from other human relation commissions in the country. And after some discussion, I put into the Google Drive a Title 5A HRC work group document. And that document, which I believe I can share, I don't know, I'm not that good at it. But anyway, it's a working document. And what we did is, after discussion, I listed out on the document the description of what the commission may, as Commissioner Sorrow said, this is what the commission may do. Let me see if I can do it right there. Copy, paste it in here, boop. Maybe you guys can go to it. And there you go. And so all I did was do a simple list of all the things that the commission may do. And then Commissioner Gaskin suggested that we use the SWOT. I believe it was Commissioner Gaskin that said use the SWOT ideas. So we went ahead and put those categories in. And then we have a final category or column. What will we take as a commission for 2025 or later? And we've only had one meeting, so this is just the beginning. And in that particular Google document, I also put a SWOT analysis bullet points of what we should consider for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for each and every suggested item in the Human Relations Commission Work Group Human Rights Strategic Plan. Also in the Google Drive is just a summary of how to put a strategic plan together. And yeah, I'd say that's where we're at right now. We haven't really moved beyond that we have a sort of a working document, and the work group will sort of delve into it more. And I think we're going to narrow things down into a couple of things that we can do for 2025. Commissioner Sorrow, you're my parallel, my yin to my yang. Do you want to go ahead and just say a few words maybe? And also Commissioner Gaskin, would you please say a few words too?
Yeah, David, I think that you, or Commissioner Michaels, I think you covered really well what we discussed, and sort of we started big and sort of filtered down to what the code actually says that we can do, and we're going to focus on those things and be driven by the county ordinance. In terms of what the commission can do, and we're going to work on how prioritizing those things that we can do, and then how best to achieve doing the things that we're permitted to do.
Correct.
But I think you did a great job of covering everything. Yeah.
I agree. I don't have anything else to add. Thank you.
Oh,
right.
You have anything else to add, Commissioner Gaskin?
No, I did not.
Okay, thank you. Open it up to other commissioners. Any questions, comments, suggestions for the work group? And you can also join if you'd like.
Or send an email if there's something in particular
Yes.
you want to make sure that we cover in the work group, but you're not able to attend. Would be happy to consider it.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's there's my report submitted, Chairman Peterson.
Thank you. Move to the next item. this was brought to my attention by Commissioner Michaels. Appreciate that. And it's made national news. And what happened was that Mark Zuckerberg decided that he would change Facebook, Meta, and I believe it's Instagram hate speech policies that have a dramatic impact on a specific group, which is LGBTQ plus people. It allows people to post things that link certain kinds of activities or discussions that may occur by LGBTQ plus members of Facebook, Meta, Instagram, and suggest that they have
Mental health issues.
mental impairment, and therefore should not be taken seriously, I would say. Commissioner Michaels, did I state that correctly?
Yes, sir. And I think I can add to it. It's sort of under the umbrella of all DEI, that they're dropping DEI, not regulations, but inclusiveness in their companies. Actually, I've been putting together, I only have 2 links, but it also goes into companies such as McDonald's, Ford Motor Company, Walmart, companies that have gone for 20 years, actually, instituting DEI policies, and then without even a hint, they just drop them. And to me, it's a microcosm on really the direction that possibly the country's going, and I'm concerned. So I brought it to Commissioner Peterson's
Attention.
attention. And I think, when we talked in previous meetings about writing, Commissioner Dadone brought this up about, and Commissioner Apter brought this up about writing an open letter to a paper for various reasons. I think this is something, if we have to first protect individuals by the Human Relations Commission in our county, then we start in our county and work toward the state, and we just have to put one foot in front of the other and help our citizens first, and then maybe we can help others as we go along, whether that's not buying from a certain organization or coming up with this is the purpose of the work group also, I think, for the Human Relations Commission, and things that we adopt as a commission that we may do as far as fining or encompassing hate speech or any kind of diversity, equity, and inclusive issues in our region. At least that's what I'm interested in following up on.
Okay. Comments from other commissioners?
I'd like to receive a comment, though, from the Office of Equity and Human Rights if they heard this news nationally and how it fell upon their ears, and also to Dr. Smith Key, because I know that some of this work that she's done throughout her life, I think, affects this area too.
Sure. So thank you for the opportunity to respond. We were aware, just following news that Meta was rolling back some of the hate speech protections that had been in place for a long time. And actually, Mark Zuckerberg was on the Joe Rogan podcast. I don't know if any of you listened to it, but it's a really interesting and telling couple of hours. I think it helps to give content to Meta's intentions, you know, sort of their position on hate speech generally, their position on their role as gatekeepers in social media. And, you know, to me, well, first, let me say, I think it's worth a listen if you haven't listened to it. I think it's worth listening to. The concern that, you know, comes to my mind immediately, of course, is in terms of climate, right? I think we can anticipate we're already having some challenges in the public sphere around civility generally, hate speech more specifically. And I think that you know, our social media platforms are going to be a place where things, you know, these types of conversations are increasingly unregulated. I think that the effect on children and young people is going to be particularly significant because we know that they spend more time on these platforms. So, you know, the question is what do you do about it? Hate speech has always been protected in the United States, sadly. You know, I mean, for better or worse, I won't even say sadly, that's the way our Constitution works. But I think it means something when a company says we're actually going to be moving away from policing tone and creating standards for our community in that regard. You know, I think the commission is a great place to have this conversation. And maybe it's ripe for a larger community conversation.
And also, can I just say that Director Smith was interviewed by Executive Stuart Pittman, and she talked about how racist the country is and how important DEI is in this podcast. And I want to thank her for doing that, and also for all the fine work that she's doing leading this organization.
Thank you.
Dr.
I wanted to bring up Mark Apter speaking. Anticipating a new administration in Washington, I think that Meta and some of these other organizations are looking to fit in with this more critical view of protecting the rights of minorities, and that we don't have any say in the federal arena, and we have no say actually in the state arena, but in the county arena, we ought to, one, keep our concerns within the county arena so as not to overstep our concerns, or not our concerns, but overstep our authority. And if other county human relations commissions did the same, we'd have some thrust in the coming 2 years that would reflect well on those that don't want to see the Trump administration just run rampant across the difficultly earned freedoms that have come along in the last 20, 30 years in terms of minorities and their rights. So that's my take on it. I don't know if anybody else sees this as just anticipating the new federal regime and just kind of falling into place behind it.
Any other comments? Oh, here we are. Commissioner Scott.
Just something that is also hand in hand with repealing some of the hate speech policies. I've also seen news that Meta is removing some of its policies in regards to fact checking and making sure that all of the posts that are going around are factual. The warnings that you see before certain posts that have been misproven. That's also probably going to elevate the harm that some of the implications of removing hate speech policies will have. It's going to allow people to say harmful things and perpetuate false and negative information that will definitely tear apart communities and be extremely detrimental to the state of just the internet and how everyone communicates on there.
Great point. Any other comments?
Well, I think I agree with that comment from Commissioner Scott entirely. The as big an issue is the lack of ensuring that, I mean, they can't do it 100%, but they could certainly try to reduce the amount of misinformation and disinformation that is going around on social media. That, I think, is as big a problem as dropping their goals or efforts to sort of police hate speech. Hate speech can be seen as just a horrible opinions of people, but when they're trying to back up those opinions and that hate speech with so-called facts that are inaccurate, intentionally or unintentionally, I think that's where we have an even bigger problem than just the hate speech. So the two things combined are a really, I think, a very negative direction for social media to be going in.
Any further comments?
Sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
Let's go ahead.
The other thing that came up that you all reminded me of, Commissioner Sorrow, when you just said about the comments, right, or the hate speech that is being shared. There's such a fine line between freedom of speech and then just being mean. And I guess there's that old saying, well, turn it off or don't participate or just don't join in on the Facebook or on these sites. But I heard I don't remember the woman's name, the transgender star, who warned trans kids to go back in the closet, to go back into hiding for their own safety. So when it turns from just a comment or some ridiculousness online into going back to hiding to protect yourself and safety, now we've entered a new space. And that's ridiculous, especially for somebody like me who struggled since 11. And now we're talking about this again. It's like so ass backwards. Sorry for swearing.
Okay.
Yeah. But do you know what I'm saying? So here, when we're hearing a modern person warning constituents to please go into hiding or please be safe and don't share who you truly are to protect yourself, I'm hoping this period of our country is over quick and we can get back to some, but I think it's going to require us, such as myself and others like our commission, to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves.
Did you have something to say, Commissioner Apter?
Yes, I agree, except I think we have to be very careful that we work on a county level. We should not put out, a document to I had suggested editorials in the local newspapers, etc. As long as those editorials are about the rights of people within our county, I think that's fine. But for us to take and nationalize our concerns will just put us in danger of not looking relevant.
Oh, I agree, Commissioner. And think global, act local. Isn't that the line?
That's the line. Very good, David. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, observations?
Just wanted to respond to David as he had asked me. And David, Commissioner Michaels, I support what Director Smith has said. I think this is an opportunity for more intentional conversations. And that's something certainly we will have to think through for the Shepherd Bird Hate Crime Grant to expand our thinking a bit. And that's where the commission can come in and we do some brainstorming session. Where are the communities within the county that we need to go or have conversations with? So I think there needs to be some level of intentionality. We can wish this problem away. It's not going anywhere. And we can, I will say we can anticipate that we will see more of this for alignment with the incoming administration. So again, this is an opportunity for us to be more intentional about having some of these very hard conversations.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Yes, I couldn't agree more, and include me in any of those meetings. I will be happy to attend and, of course, support and put my 2 cents in.
Thank you.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yeah.
Back to you.
One thing that I might add to this conversation is that while I agree with Commissioner Apter that we need to act locally and think globally, we are part of an association of human relations commissions and committees around the state. And I think it might be useful for us to raise the concerns that we have and ask if others agree that there's a generalized problem with where this action on the part of certain individuals that make large amounts of money off of the internet, where this is heading. So I wonder if we might consider writing something that would ask other commissions if they have had similar concerns. And I'm just throwing that out and wondering if there's any agreement on that.
Well, there is an agreement on my part, except writing something as a first step, I don't think is conducive to getting the results we're looking for. I think verbally going out to the leadership of other commissions and asking whether or not we could jointly draft something from the majority or all of, or a large percentage of the human relations commissions, then that would have some clout. And unfortunately, doing it the other way just makes it take an awfully long time to get anywhere, if anywhere.
Okay.
And could I add, so Commissioner Apter and really to the commission, the intentionality, love that, Dr. Smith-Key. So that's the purpose of the meetings. But let me remind the commission, isn't that the purpose of what we did at Unity Day just back in March? The whole reason we went to South County was to sort of expose another part of the county to a different type of unity that we're looking at. So I think we're on the right path. Keep the conversation going, get more intentionality, get more educated, bring more people into the fold to have the conversation, to share face to face, not behind a screen, not behind, closed doors, but to open up the conversation and hear everybody. And, sometimes when you are actually face to face with somebody, that can change many things, because they just might not have the correct or understand, where I'm coming from, or I might not understand where they're coming from. So I think so I agree with you, Commissioner Apter. We can write all the letters we want to, but it requires soldiers to, enter the fray and to be with intention and purpose and discuss with each other face to face. So whether that means we are more inclusive in our Unity Day or whatever, but there are ways to approach this. And keeping in mind that, up at the top echelon, they might be doing something totally different, but that doesn't mean we can't lead the way in our county. Okay, I'm done putting my 2 cents in, because I know it's been about 20 cents worth.
Any further comments, discussion?
Asha
Yes.
has her hand up. I'm not
Pardon?
sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you. I did just want to say that I am secretary of the state's Maryland Association of Human Rights Agencies, which is now under the auspices of the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights. And they routinely convene representatives from various counties around civil rights related issues. If this is something that the commission might be interested in talking with Mara about, maybe about hosting a meeting where commissions from around the state could come together just to talk about this particular issue, I would certainly be willing to approach the rest of the board and inquire on the commission's behalf.
I think that's a great idea, Asha.
Sure.
I agree.
Great. I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we could say that's unanimous with the commissioners that are on the meeting at this point in time. So why don't we go ahead and do that? And I guess the only thing that kind of strikes me at this point in time, and I'll just end with this, is where's the political leadership nationally, locally, in terms of this issue? I mean, I know times are tough and there's a lot of stuff that people are dealing with, but this is fundamental to who we are. And so I'm just a little bit disappointed right now with elected officials in general. So I'll just leave it at that. I'd like to go to selection of vice chair for the Human Relations Commission. A while back, I sent all of you an inquiry and asked if there was any interest in the vice chair position. I've had discussions with one commissioner, Commissioner Michaels. He and I have talked, and Commissioner Michaels is willing to serve as our vice chair, which is we have to have one by our policy. So unless there's any discussion, debate, I would just ask if it's fine to go ahead and appoint Commissioner Michaels vice chair, and then
I would say, if we need to go through a Robert's rules thing, I would, say yes, let's, I would make that, I would nominate him and somebody
Okay.
second it, etc.
All right, why don't we do that?
Second,
Okay, nominated by Commissioner Apter, seconded by Commissioner Sorrow. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? It's unanimous. Okay, Mr. Vice Chair, I'll turn it over to you now.
Wait, you said with training though. We agreed you would train me. We haven't had that lesson. Our first training meeting's coming up. Thank you, everybody, for your support. But to be serious, I need as much help and guidance and advice as you can give me. And I'm hoping that I will have a back communication line open to all of you, and I plan on sort of reaching out by phone to talk with you. That's my favorite thing to do, is talk on the phone with everybody. But to just talk with you and get your input, your direction, your guidance, your knowledge, your wisdom. And then, of course, Dr. Smith Key and Director Smith, lots of would have been lucky to be on these various groups. So the more that you can guide me and send me the job description and everything, I would appreciate it, because I want to be the best vice chair that we can have to serve our citizens. Okay.
And I think you will do well. I just might add that if there are any things that folks would like to see on future agendas, you now can send them to either me or the vice chair, and we'll then he and I will discuss, and we'll get back to you and let you know. I don't think there's ever been an item that we haven't calendar on the agenda. So congratulations, Commissioner Michaels, and now we'll move to Unity Day planning. And on this item, I would ask Director Smith to, and I think
Dr. Gillens, were you
Dr.
thinking?
Gillens is on too. So why don't I turn it over to both of you, and you all can talk about how you see us involved this year.
Sure. Thank you so much. I had an opportunity to speak at length with Dr. Gillens about the proposed Unity Day activity. Just as a reminder, we talked about, or I should say, the commission discussed maybe a different approach for this year. For the past 2 years, we've done Unity Day events at our local parks, and those were very nice events. We talked about maybe doing something a little different this year, given that Unity Day is an opportunity for the commission to support the school system and our students. And so Dr. Gillens proposed, and I think most of the commissioners were in agreement, that the commission this year meet with the equity advisory team that AACPS has convened. It consists of some 40+ students at the middle and high school levels, and hear from students, about how they're doing and how they feel members of the community can support them, can best support them. And I think that there was resounding approval for this idea. Dr. Gillens did share the date of their next meeting. And so the idea would be that the commissioners would attend that meeting. So we would be meeting the kids where they are. The date is March 13th. There are some parameters, of course, because it's a school event. And there are all kinds of consents required to engage with kids in different kinds of ways, of course, for their safety and for ours. So, in talking to Dr. Gillens, it's probably going to be best that there are a couple of questions and that perhaps AACPS staff asks them of the kids. So we can, as a commission, the commissioners are welcome to formulate some questions to get the kind of feedback that, about things that you're interested in hearing about. But the questions will be directed to the students by school staff in this meeting environment. In addition to that, I think it's just going to be an opportunity to listen, right? And Dr. Gillens, I'm not sure if I'm missing anything else. Feel free to chime in.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Asha. Hello, everyone. So yes, and I would also add that it's important for the student to know what the commission is about.
Of course.
I don't, you'll say we're commissioners, and they're not going to necessarily know what that means. So I definitely think at the top of the agenda is giving context to why this group exists, what's the mission of this group, and then transitioning into the goal of supporting the school district around unity, belong, grow, and succeed, which is Dr. Bedell's goal for us. And how it is, how has it been approached? And then getting that feedback from students, because students will give you a different perspective as to what do they need? What does that look like for a community to come out and provide that level of support for them so they can feel like they belong, where then will result in growing and succeeding in AACPS. So logistics, it's March 13th from 5:30 to 7, and it's actually, Asha, 100% virtual, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be hybrid or not. So it is 100% virtual as far as the amount of time, because I wasn't sure if my colleague, if that time needed to be shared, among someone else presenting. And it looks like they just need about 30 minutes to do something. So that's what, 5:36, like an hour, which is a pretty long time to have some conversation with students. So I don't know if that helps as far as the logistics. So it'll be a link, whether it be Google Meet, probably Google Meet, because students use Google Meet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask a question, Dr. Gillens?
Yes.
This is the commissioner.
And congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. So this year would be a virtual Unity Day, is what we're saying. Is that correct? I'm just clearing in my head, right? March 13th, 5:30 to 7. Was that what we just decided? Is that right?
Yes, and just for the commission, though, not for other outside of this group, just for this group only.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just asking, so like no band, no donuts, no food trucks, all internal, right?
Listen, y'all can still do that in addition to.
You could all be eating donuts and drinking cider and talking to the students. Yeah, something. Okay, no, I'm just checking because I was going to brush off my trombone, but I guess, okay, put it back in the box. All right, put it back in the case.
We're going to have you as a performer this year? I
was going to do a little trombone solo, maybe. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Part of the conversation we had at the last meeting was, was the outcome that we intended to meet, was it met, right? And so, and definitely each year it looked different. And so I would say year 2, what we found this past year, what we found was, and I don't know, what that was about as far as the families bringing
Right.
their student to perform. As soon as they were performed, they left. It's like, well, that defeats the whole purpose. We need you to hang out, with us.
Yeah.
So these are the things that I would say, and reflecting on that, while we did get good feedback. I mean, people were like, thank you, we appreciate it. We also noticed the crowd thinned out. And so does that meet the outcome that we really wanted to meet? And so is time better spent when we talk about, time being valuable, our time spent to actually hear from students directly and having that opportunity to do that? Because our planning really was, we have there's a student commissioner on there, so I don't want to minimize the fact there is student representation on the commission. But I do think this gives you a more diverse, way of thinking because of the number of it's just the volume of students is greater with this format.
And I agree with you. And I was just I wasn't joking about the trombone solo, but anyway, the point is that, oh no, I think it's wonderful, first off, because to focus on the student and to have more attend, because now it's easier, whether you're South County, North County, Glen Burnie, Annapolis, just so many more chances for students to participate, and creating a Unity Day listening session, because I'm sure they're much more informed than I am, and some of the commissioners, on all that's affecting them. I think it's a wonderful idea. So thank you and Director Smith for coming up, and the Unity Day planning group. So thank you. Chairman Peterson, I'm taking my position, seriously now. As
Yes,
Vice
you
Chair,
are.
I'm speaking a lot. I don't know. Do we have any executive orders I need to sign?
No, not at all.
All right.
We look forward to participating in on the 13th in this virtual Unity Day discussion. And I guess, Commissioner Scott, excuse me.
This is just a clarifying question. So the March 13th, 5:30 to 7, is that a virtual Unity Day instead of the previous events being held at like the park, or is that the meeting with the students to plan for the Unity Day?
That would be the Unity Day activity this year.
Oh, okay. I understand that.
Okay. Thanks for asking.
If I may just, are you still there, Dr. Gillens? Yes, you are. Okay. What are the next steps for the commission? Would you like them to get you some potential questions, so that you have time to go through them and maybe select a few?
Yes, that would be absolutely wonderful. And then your next meeting is February?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Yeah, what I would like to propose for that meeting is actually do that run of show. This is what the agenda will look like when we arrive. This is what's going to happen. And then I will, if I need information about the commission, obviously it's on the, website, the county exec website, so I can always pull out some language. If I need to, I need to work with my colleague as to what advance notice do we let families know. So that's, I can talk to Director Smith on that if I need additional information before March 13th. But yeah, I would say at the February meeting, we can be on the same page as to what that virtual time will look like. And so those questions ahead of time will be great, because then we can just knock that out. You know what I mean? We don't have to sort through questions or anything. So if the questions can be given to me before the February meeting, that would be really, really helpful.
Okay, maybe commissioners could send those questions to me and I can compile them in a list.
Okay, Commissioner Sorrow.
Yeah, I actually have a question. I think we're sort of crashing a school meeting or a group meeting right? And I can't remember which group it is or what the name of the group that we're going to be meeting with is.
Sure, it's the Student Equity Advisory Team. And if I haven't done so already, I can send Director Smith a description. I just can't remember if I did that or not. Sorry. I can do that right now. I'm at my computer.
I don't think I
That-
have one, so that would be great.
Yeah, that would
Okay.
be great. And I really do. I like this idea a lot for this year, particularly given our current environment. I think it is important for us as a Human Relations Commission to know what the kids are thinking and what they're worried about, because I know it is a time of concern, and not just for us, but also for students and young people. So I think it's a really important thing for us to hear about their concerns, and maybe they have specific ideas of how we can help them or address their concerns. So I really like this idea.
Great. Any other comments, questions? Fantastic. I want to thank Dr. Gillens for joining us and giving us a real good idea of how this year's Unity event will, what our involvement will look like in this year's Unity event. And again, commissioners, please formulate any questions you might have and send them to Director Smith. And I would say that probably she would like to see them, I won't say ASAP, but probably by the end of January, first week in February. Is that about right, Director?
Yes, I think that's great. While it's fresh and top of mind, it's probably a good time. We'll send out a reminder.
Okay.
In case folks forget, but yeah.
Fantastic. I'd like to move to Director Smith's report at this point in time.
Sure. Thank you so much. Well, everyone, as you know, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday is coming up. And so that is a special emphasis observance for the county. It's a holiday, and we will be supporting the breakfast that will be held on that day. Just as a point of, I think you guys selected the Dallas Pace award recipient in the last meeting, or maybe the meeting before. We have gotten the plaque prepared, and it is sitting safely with the with the breakfast planning committee. So that will be presented at the breakfast on Monday. Bear with me just a second. Okay. In terms of administrative updates, there are budget town halls taking place all around the county. They're being done by councilmanic district. Of course, the county executive's office wants to hear a diversity of opinions. They want to hear from constituents about concerns. And the county executive also wants to really talk to our residents about the budget and what the climate is for budgeting for this year. So if you have an opportunity and there's a town hall coming to your area soon, please attend and encourage your neighbors to attend. We've already talked about legislative sessions starting and Justin tracking relevant bills for us. He'll be providing those updates, as he said. In terms of events, so on Saturday, January 25th, we are having the Social Advocacy Networking event. It's being hosted by the Office of Equity and Human Rights, the Office of Hispanic, Latino, and Multicultural Affairs, and of course, the County Executive's Office of Community Engagement and Constituent Services. That is going to be held again on Saturday, the 25th from 10 to 12 at La Sierra Restaurant. If you have not RSVP'd, please do so. You should have received a couple of email invitations. You can RSVP to Chanel, letting her know that you'll attend. The purpose of this event is for our social advocacy commissions to get together and meet each other. So obviously, the invitees include the Human Relations Commission, the Commission for Women, the Commission on Disability Issues, the Immigrant Affairs Commission, the Community Reinvestment and Repair Commission, and the Interfaith Advisory Council. All of those commissions have similar mandates to the extent that they're doing outreach with special populations throughout the county. And so this is an opportunity to get together and also to hear about what our respective offices are doing. So again, that's 10 to 12. It's a networking event. Please RSVP. February is Black History Month. We do have a program planned. You will be getting notifications about that. It will be a virtual lunch and learn program. The theme for Black History Month for this year nationally is African Americans and Labor. And Amber Barnett, our Assistant Director of Equity, has put together a really compelling program. It's a panel discussion about creating talent pipelines in the African American community, about professions in which African Americans are historically underrepresented. We are collaborating with our procurement office on this event. There are some areas where we find that African Americans are underrepresented in county contracts. One of those is architecture, another is construction. And so, I'm sorry, engineering, architecture and engineering. And so we will have some panelists that are going to talk about their experience and ways to build pipelines for talent in areas where folks aren't always represented. We will be sending you the date for that. Again, it's a daytime virtual activity. So it'll be a lunch and learn event. I just want to give you some updates on the hate bias incidents. There were 4 incidents in November. That's the most recent data that we have. 4 incidents that were reported. 3 of them involved written intimidation. 1 of them involved an assault. All 4 were race and ethnicity based. 3 of the victims were Black, 1 was white. Location data is no longer being reported in the same format to us. We anticipate that we will be getting the data in a format that's more similar to what you used to receive. We hope to be getting that soon. Dr. Nikki's office and her new staff that will be joining are going to be working on doing data analysis of the police reports. So hopefully we'll be able to get that, some of that granular data for you in the coming weeks. In terms of some other summary data about complaints and inquiries into our office, we have received 68 complaints since July 1st. We have a new database. We're still working through some of the kinks, but I'm happy to report that number to you. 26 of those complaints have been fair housing complaints. And so, you know, they're addressed in a number of ways. Some of them are non-jurisdictional. Some of them we end up referring to other agencies for a variety of reasons, but and some of them, of course, we mediate and have been able to resolve. So that's just a little update for you in terms of the enforcement work. I also want to let you know that we're working closely with the Office of Law regarding the very in detail complaint procedures and processing procedures for external complaints of discrimination. So those are the complaints about private employers and about public accommodations. This commission has authority to hear those as of July of 2024. And so the Office of Law is working with us on things like how to serve the complaints, how, when we get answers back, who else needs to be served, all of those kind of very fine logistical issues. So we'll be up and running soon. And that concludes my report.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
When you say up and running soon, you got a ballpark for what soon is?
Sure. So we have actually been taking some complaints. You know, I've tried to be very responsible about managing our capacity. So I've been very honest with complainants about what we can do. There have been a couple of situations where we've been able to write letters and seek mediation for, or offer mediation for complainants. But in terms of being fully ready to go, I would anticipate a month. We've been assigned someone from the Office of Law now to work with us on this. So we're really going through, the certified mail, the whole thing, the record keeping, all of it. So we should be good to go, I would say, in about a month.
And finally, do you anticipate, and I guess we'll have data for about a year, maybe,
Yes.
that this would then give us a basis for asking for additional funding to staff up to actually do this right?
Yes. That's the short answer to that question. Yes.
Okay.
We
Thank
have
you.
to do it for a couple of years, and then there may be
Okay.
federal dollars that we'll be eligible for. So, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I don't think
Yes.
I'm interested at this time. Thanks.
Pardon?
I believe he was talking to someone else.
Oh.
We took the liberty of
okay.
muting him. Thank you.
If I may just jump in with some additional information that I want to bring to your awareness.
Sure.
For the Shepherd Bird Hate Crime Grant, we have written into our promise to the federal government that we will host a number of events defined differently over the 4-year period. So we're going to be having hate bias forums, protecting places of worship trainings, conferences, professional development training, and the multidisciplinary teams that I had mentioned. I wanted to bring a couple dates to your attention because we're hoping to collaborate with the HRC. One is way out, but I want it on your radar because we will be having a conference for the hate crime program in February 2026. So it's way out, but I want it on your radar because we're anticipating this to be a big event where we invite external partners, etc., into our county. Prior to that, however, I will be participating in a protecting place of worship in participation with the Office of Emergency Management on February 20th. However, we will be planning a couple additional place of worship trainings with the Anne Arundel County Police Department and other partners. And as we have those dates, we will share those with you. We're also hoping to collaborate with the Office of the Attorney General for Maryland and the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights to host a hate bias forum, and the title has not been decided yet, hopefully sometime in March. So this pair of agencies, the OAG and the Maryland Commission of Civil Rights, have been having similar sessions around Maryland in different counties. And we've encouraged them to come to Anne Arundel County next. And so you'll hear more about this as well, as we will want your participation to get people into that room, to fill that room. I went to Calvert County, the session in Calvert County, and I think I spoke too much. I'm like, don't worry, we will fill any venue we have. And I'm committed to that. So just wanted to bring that to your attention, and more to come on that. And the last event is just a reminder about the multidisciplinary team. And you should be getting some communication within the next week to invite a representative from your group to join that group. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point in time, we'll dispense with the report from the Annapolis HRC liaison because I don't believe Commissioner Hatcher's on the meeting.
She did join.
Oh, she did
Hi,
join.
good
She is.
evening, everyone.
Okay.
Sorry, I was running late with work. However, I do not have a report to provide for today's meeting.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Good to see you.
Thank you, you as well.
All right. I'd like now to move to discussion of our HRC meeting schedule for the upcoming year, which will include both Zoom and hybrid meeting. I had some preliminary discussions with a number of commissioners, and I had some generalized feedback from 4 or 5 commissioners that they felt that they would not like to meet in person in February, given the January weather and what we perceive might be a repeat, at least in temperature in February. But I believe that we could schedule the March meeting as a hybrid meeting. And then I would propose that every other meeting that we have be a hybrid meeting. So that would mean March would be a hybrid, April would be a Zoom, May would be a hybrid, June would be a Zoom, etc. So having put that proposal out, I'm interested in discussion from the commission. Yes, I see 2 commissioners, Commissioner Michaels and then Commissioner Sorrow.
Yes, my opinion is it's a great idea because a hybrid meeting is if you can't actually physically attend, you can attend via Zoom. Is that correct? Right?
That, yeah, we'll have to work it out, and I'll work with Director Smith, but yes, that would be
Yeah. And I think the one time that we all did meet that one time, there was a hybrid because there were a few people on Zoom that time. So I think there is something to be said to be actually in person, but I do know that it's difficult for some of the commissioners due to family and children and so on and so forth. So but I think that's a great compromise that we have a few hybrid and then the Zoom the following. So that's my opinion.
okay. Commissioner Sorrow and then Commissioner Haiba.
I agree. I think a hybrid is a fine option. I certainly would not, for the reasons that that Commissioner Hajayeva has raised. I would not vote to have the meetings exclusively in person because I do think it limits the ability of full participation of a broader range of commissioners for those who work a full-time job and have a hard time getting to Annapolis, or those who have children at home in the evenings, or just for whatever reasons, health or other, have difficulty physically getting to Annapolis for the meetings. And I just, to the extent we're going to have hybrid meetings, I am hopeful that we will have the technical capacity to really involve those people who are on virtually, maybe with that, the owl sort of video recording that follows the people who are speaking so that it's not so exclusionary of those who are on virtually. And I see Commissioner Scott's name up too. Students also could be very difficult to be in person. So I just don't want to see those who participate by video be any less involved in the meeting than those who do make it in person. So I wanted to share that concern.
Okay, Commissioner Scott.
Yep, I definitely agree with everything Commissioner Sorrow said. Just for me personally, I can't drive. myself personally. You know, I'm a student and whatnot. So, yep, thanks for looking out for that concern, definitely. And also, what you said with the owl, that's definitely, I think, pretty solid technology for hybrid meetings. That's what we use for the Chesapeake Regional Association of Student Councils meetings whenever we do have hybrid, since it's able to have the video for everyone that is in person and then show who's talking. It's definitely pretty feasible, especially with a smaller group of people that there's not, I guess, a lot going on in the room. So I think that that's definitely something to keep in mind in terms of the technological way to go about hybrid meetings.
Okay. And Commissioner Aiva, did you want to say something, or you?
Yes, I believe Commissioner David, hello everyone, Commissioner David and Sarah and Scott, they all summarized very well. There is
Okay.
nothing left for me, but yeah, as a mom of 2 children, please consider that also in the future, if you want this commission to be diverse and involve students and moms, single moms, working parents. So I think hybrid would be perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Okay, looks like we're gonna move ahead and incorporate the hybrid meetings. And as I said, we will start with the first hybrid in March, and then every other meeting of the commission in 2025 will be a hybrid. I don't see is there any I don't think we need to take a vote on this. Is there any further discussion, any debate? Okay, we'll set up the schedule that way, and I'll work with Director Smith to make sure that I know what owl is. We could get this done, because I'm not completely conversant with that, but I'm sure we can make it work.
It's
You know.
just a piece of equipment that sits in the middle of the room where the live meeting is being held, and that is aware of who's speaking and aims the camera at them. And the people who are hybrid, people who are, at home, have the benefit of being seen and seeing specifically who's in the room.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll work with again, Director Smith, and we'll make it happen. Thank you all. At this point in time, we have no other items on our agenda, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn, which is a non-debatable motion. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, that was Commissioner Sorrow.
And if you need a second, I would second it. Mark
Okay.
out.
Did I get it right? Was it Commissioner Sorrow and Commissioner After?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, great.
And it was Vice Chairman Commissioner Michaels for the third.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Thank you all. It's been a really productive meeting. See you at the breakfast.
See you there.
I
All right.
Bye.
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 Night.